Hey everyone, welcome to my review of the new Sims 3 stuff pack, the Sims 3 movie stuff. This set is a collection of movie-themed items, which are basically, it's kind of a little bit meta because they're items that aren't actually meant to look like what you would have had from the periods. They're items that are meant to look like what movies which try to emulate certain periods or genre have. So it's a mishmash of a bunch of different styles and aesthetics and motifs, and it's really kind of fun. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start and build and buy, because some of you may not be interested in dressing your Sims up in cosplay type items, and so the only really saving grace for this set would be the objects. So if you end up not being interested in the clothes, you can just move on after I've finished with the objects and the build buy stuff. So first you have this outdoor toilet, which looks like an outhouse. It's very cute. I love how angular it is. It's really cartoony. The detailing on it's pretty great. And if you don't have Island Paradise, I'm not sure. I have to look this up to be absolutely positive. But if you don't have Island Paradise, I still think this acts as an outdoor or an all-in-one toilet for you, but I can't be positive, so I'll have to check that for sure. But if that's the case, it might be worth it, because if you didn't get Island Paradise because you weren't interested in it, but you wanted the all-in-one toilet or something, this might be worth picking up if you are interested in a few of the other things. Here are some saloon doors. I'm actually pretty jazzed to have those because I really like saloon doors. My old bedroom had saloon doors. Not much for privacy, but boy was it fun. And here we have this saloon sign. I think there are a couple different variations. It's also very well made. I'm going to say right now that I feel like pretty much everything in this is very well made. Everything is beautifully crafted. Okay, so I'm actually going to angle this camera down a little bit. There we go. There we go. So that light is from the Director's Cut Origin Exclusive, which I was only able to find a few of the items from, but I'll show those off. A couple of them are still lost in my build buy catalog, never to be found. I'll stumble upon them eventually. Alright, so you have this. It's a dining table, I believe, and it's all done with very nice etching. The new rocking chair is gorgeous. Everything, particularly in the Western spectrum of this particular stuff pack, I feel like they put a lot of work into it in terms of making it subdued. A lot of this I can see people using just under normal circumstances. Those counters are base game, so really what we're looking at here is the bar, these bar stools, and these two pieces of wall art, wanted posters, and then some sort of I don't know if that would be an instructional poster or something. It's very cute though. It's like an advertisement or something. And that's pretty much it for this room. Then we go on in here, and this also, I want to say set because I do store stuff all the time. That's the same light. I just kind of wanted to make it look like a movie stage. So yes, this bed comes with the Western elements of this stuff pack, and then here's the dresser. It's got a nice mirror on it. I can actually see myself using pretty much everything in the Western portion of this, no problem whatsoever. So we're gonna go through this wall, and there is a backdrop. This actually comes in a few different variations. There's a sci-fi one, there's a horror one, and then there's the Western one. I decided to go with the Western one. And, you know me, I like to roleplay a lot, so I would imagine my Sims, coming out here and shooting a scene, and there's a little director's chair, and this is one of the other lights that came with the set. It's pretty cool. And then that rig above, because the backdrop by itself is just that backdrop, but then the rig above it is also part of the director's cut set. So if you got that, that's cool. And if you got the set, and you could tell me where you find that clapboard, because it's making me bananas. I can't find it. Okay, so here we are in hang on, we're gonna zip back. We're gonna look at this. Hello, thank you. We're gonna look at this way. Now there's a lot of stuff that came with this, so we're actually not gonna have the camera zoomed out super far. Yep. There we go. I've got my Sims kind of hanging out, standing around, but we will have them move around. Like I said, we're going to take a look at the cast stuff. So let's start with one of the first things that I really like. It's this door. You've probably seen, if you've watched other reviews, people talking about them. The door has little lasers that come out, and when you walk through them, it makes kind of a whirring sound, or a laser, you know, quote-unquote laser sound. And you can change the color of the lasers, and it's really fun, and it reminds me of playing Phantasy Star Universe, which may not be the best thing, but I enjoyed it. Alright, so this is a wardrobe, and it has all of the typical wardrobe interactions, but it looks obviously like it has an electrical console. This is a piece of wall art that, you know, it's got little superheroes, villains, and stuff. It's basically I can't remember what they called it. It's to show off all of your successes and things like that, obviously. It's a trophy wall, almost. This is actually under the lighting stuff, and it's got a couple of outfits and masks, and then weapons, and obviously there's a green arrow down in there, and all of that. It's obviously all it's very much a love letter to superhero aesthetics and comics and things like that in general. And I changed the color of the light, actually. I changed it to green because I felt like it. So let's change it to a different color. Let's make it pink. This light. So yeah, you can change it to different ones. Let's go magenta. Boom. So that's one thing. And then this set, I'm actually so you can see all of this stuff moving, because that's the really cool part. Except now my game is like flipping out. So yeah, this table is a dining table, and it has these points of interest. These little marks show up. I cannot think today. My brain is not working. And then this table has a llama on it, as is a typical theme. And then this is just a sculpture object, but it's really cool. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is very well crafted. You have a doomsday device. This is a light as well. You can change the colors. There's obviously this chair. This is a dresser. Actually, yeah, it's a dresser with a mirror. And actually, why don't you walk through the door? Go here. So you heard it. That's what it sounds like, and that's what it looks like. Yeah. So it's just like that all the time. It's very thematic, very, very heavy in theme, very specific. We're coming back to that word, specificity. And I put the door also in front of this. And it actually acts as some sort of privacy element, which is kind of funny. Like, I can tell her to come in here and take a shower. We'll actually take a look at the shower in a second. And it's actually kind of humorous, because she'll take a shower no problem, almost as if there is a door which can, you know, protects her modesty whatsoever. So yes, alright. And then let's be creepy for a second. Alright. This actually no, I feel weird doing it. This obviously is meant to pay homage to the old telephone booth that Superman used to jump into and change into his, change out of his streetwear and into his uniform. Oh, okay. Mop that up, please. Oh, she just decided, oh, I forgot, she's in, yes. She has the insane trait, and she's just gonna randomly change her clothes into whatever she wants. Well, she changed into a different costume. That's okay. So, you'll probably notice by looking at it, oh, and yes, there's this vehicle. It's very expensive. It's 200,000 simoleons. It's pretty freaking cool, though. And then there's the Vigilante Supercycle that comes in a few different colors. The items in this particular portion are very well made, very well realized. I like how there's a lot of movement and a lot of actual elements which make you feel very immersed. And it's quite, it's pretty obvious that a lot of these, like the costumes you'll see particularly, but a lot of these objects are meant to pay homage to like your Silver Era comic book, or Silver Age comic books, because there's just this sort of delightful mix of campiness and design sensibility, which you didn't get in Golden Age, and everything in Bronze Age and Modern Age has become a little quote-unquote grittier. So this set, I would say, this part of the pack, the superhero stuff, I'd say sort of staunchly falls into that whole Silver Age descriptor, but is a lot of fun. I mean, not necessarily 100%, but you know what I mean. There's some updated elements like the Simbiote and things like that, but everything has a very Silver Age feel, which is very popular. And I think it was a good choice to go with that. And then sort of like, you can really color it any way you wanted to. I decided to go with all white and metal because I felt like it suited, but I feel like if you were going to go with a superhero theme, you could do a lot with all of this, and you can change a lot of the elements and the colors and things like that. Alright, so for the last one, hello, thank you. I didn't mean to do that. Let's do this. I want to get a close look at everything. I cannot stop. Alright. There we go. Thank you. So, this is the sort of horror elements of the set. You have a few different types of horror motif working here. You have fantasy horror. You have, in terms of like the keys and all of that, you'll see there's a sort of an like a Disney's Alice in Wonderland feel to it as well. But that's because it's Burton. Like, some of these things are so Burton. So, obviously, the drapes are all ragged and tattered. They've got the spirals. Anything that's ragged and tattered with a spiral on it, you know Tim Burton was all up in that. And the bed is actually more of a traditional 1930s Nosferatu motif, which I think is really cool. This, the table back there, obviously, is, it has snakes on it. So, it kind of has, like, one of those old archaeological horror mummy drama feels to them. This coffee table has a little bit of etching, so it's got that glam goth spider web type thing. And then this chair is very reminiscent of Beetlejuice. This is a pretty cool fireplace. I'll actually let you see it moving, but it has the eyes, obviously. They light up the color of the fire. And then, yes, this chair is that fantasy glam goth kind of thing, as is this. But a lot of it has a really heavy Tim Burton, influence feel to it. Oh, and you have these lights, their hands, so yeah, different. Well, they're like claws and things like that. And then you have this, which is very, very glam goth, almost like Monster High feels like to me. So yeah, pretty much. Now let's actually get a look at this fireplace because it's pretty sweet. Let's turn that to speed 1 though. Yeah, it's really, really cool looking. And I can actually see a lot of reasons to use it. So we're going to change the fire color, I guess, to... Oh, she's coming through here. She's wearing a horror costume anyway. I actually really like that you can hear them going through the doors. My only compunction would be if it actually got on my nerves, but it's so minor that I don't think it would. Alright. And then I forgot to mention the doors. So there's this door, which has the broken edges and the broken plaster. Well, yeah, it's like broken plaster with stone edges, and then you can't really tell because I put a wall on the other side, but it's just glass, and it has the spider motif as well. And then there's this one, which again goes back to the glam rock Monster High type thing. So I actually feel like, oh, and these. Now these could conceivably, they're just decorative objects. These could go, if you were going to do the superhero thing but actually make it sort of a super villainy setup, then these would go in there very well. As it stands, I felt like they actually fit better in this particular room. And I'm trying to remember if I'm missing anything, and I actually think that I'm not. This set doesn't have a ton of stuff, you know, the stuff pack. A lot of stuff packs, you know, they come with a good amount of things. I mean, this does have a lot for, you know, in general. There's a lot of stuff, but because it's split across 3 different themes, just like with 70s, 80s, 90s, it looks like you're not getting as much, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You're still getting a lot of stuff, and all of it is very well made. Whether or not it's to your taste, that's the biggest question. So actually, let's take a look at the clothes. You've pretty much heard what I had to say about the build and buy objects, etc. And yeah, we'll talk about the clothes. So we're going to start with the men. Now, the different outfits are either similar or identical across several age groups, with children getting a couple of options. There are a couple outfits which go for, that are unisex for children, and then a couple different individual options. And then the same for teens, and then so on and so forth. But men and women they seem to differ even more. And yes, elders can wear some of these items of clothing. Now, we're going to start out with our gentleman friend here. If you're not familiar with Rocky Horror Picture Show, it was originally the Rocky Horror Show. It was a London stage musical by Richard O'Brien, and then the screenplay was adapted by Jim Sharman. It's from the 70s. It's a cult classic, and this costume is obviously meant to emulate that. Now, this doesn't actually look like Frankenfurter's so much. It looks like a combination of Frankenfurter's costume and Brad's towards the end. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, it's weird. It's an acquired taste. If you ever have the chance to go to a show of it, they do like live shows where they'll play the movie and then people will dress up and act out in front of the screen the different parts, and then also there's audience participation where there are just sort of these riffs built in. If you ever have a chance to go and you feel like it, you should check it out. It's one of my favorite things to do, like at least every once in a while. But really, it's the kind of thing that, it's an acquired taste and you may not need to do it more than once. And don't ever, if you go to a live show, don't ever tell them that you've never been there before, or else they will torment you. Just trust me on this. But anyway, getting into the actual details, this has a lace dicky. The actual little tiny minute elements on here are pretty fantastic. I don't want to go through all of them. I used to make costumes for shows. I don't want to go into costume craft and things like that, so I'm going to try to avoid it. Now, I did manage to find high heels so that the integrity of the overall look would be similar to Rocky Horror. And this hairstyle is from 70s, 80s, and 90s stuff, which I figure fits because the movie's from the 70s. What's nice is that they've lined up the shoes and the costumes in your cast listing, so it makes it easy to put together what is technically supposed to go together. So that's a little bit easier. I did notice, though, that the Build By catalog does not have a collection folder like 70s, 80s, 90s stuff, and like in the latest expansion pack releases, there's no collection folder, so I'm a little bit bummed about that. I'm gonna have to put one together myself, and I prefer if that actually comes as part of the stuff pack, but it's a pretty easy thing, I guess, to overlook. So yeah, basically this is the costume. It comes in a few different options for color, etc. But I actually think this is very well realized. It evokes exactly what they want it to, although I suppose it'd be difficult to muddle that up. But the tiny details on all of these costumes are fantastic. I'm actually just going to go through, and if there's anything that I strongly dislike, I will tell you. Otherwise, you can just assume that I think it's well done. But I'm gonna try not to make this too long. So here we have the second look, which is obviously meant to emulate sort of an old Western sheriff or even outlaw. Really, you could go with either. Oh, he's still wearing his watch. I meant to take that off. But you have the watch fob, and everything, again, is very nicely detailed, and these are the boots that go with it. They're just basically, I'll actually show you. They're Western boots, but there haven't been any added Western boots since PES, I think, other than custom content ones that I've found, and I think these are very nice. And one thing I've noticed is that I have not had an issue with any of the boots clipping through the pants or anything like that, so I'm super excited. Alright, this look, it evokes to me some sort of galactic bureaucracy, if you know what I'm talking about. Now, I am not super familiar with Star Wars, but if I remember hard enough, I feel like this is something you would have seen, one of the generals or something working on the Death Star or something. I could totally be wrong. I know it's not exact, but I feel like it's meant to evoke that type of sensibility, and it does remind me of some of the things that that people in quote-unquote, like, future science or science fiction or any of those things. I've noticed costumes like this. It also has a little bit of a mad scientist feel, or some sort of, I don't know, there's something sinister about these shoulder pads, but there doesn't necessarily have to be. But if I'm thinking that that's what it's meant to evoke, and if it is, it's pretty successful. I like it. It does have a military sort of look. It's well fitting, and the boots are actually, like, the pants are actually fitted to the boots. It looks really good. Now, the only thing is, if you don't have high boots on, the pants, they do stop, and they have this sort of shape to them. But there are a lot of boots that come with the game, and also in store sets and stuff, that you might not have had use for, and this you could use it for. So here we have sort of a frontiersman / cowboy. I would have loved the opportunity to do sort of a Grizzly Adams feel, because that would have worked really well with, like, the Pioneer set and a lot of the stuff that came with pets, or Daniel Boone, which would be like an actual example. Grizzly Adams, you know what I mean, but sort of a Daniel Boone feel with, like, a vest and or like, not even a vest, a jacket with the fringed leather and things like that. This is, if you've seen Back to the Future Part 3, this is kind of the same sort of deal that Doc Brown dresses Marty up in, thinking that this is what people wore. And again, these costumes come from the scope of what people wore in movies and not necessarily what people actually wore. I do like the coonskin cap. It actually reminds me more of, like, a skunk skin, like, particularly there's a black version of it. But, I like it. It's a little big, but it's okay. I would have definitely loved the opportunity to do sort of a Daniel Boone thing, but this has that, like I said, has that sort of campy cowboy feel with the chaps and the tassels and all of that, and it is very well realized. So, there you go. Alright, so here we have the first superhero costume that I'm going to have the gentleman in. Now, some of these things, like I said, teenage through elder can wear. So, some of the costumes which teens and adult or young adult males can wear, I have the teenage boy that I've got set up already wearing. So, some of these things are available for men, but you're not going to actually see them until we get to the teenager. A lot of these clothes are available across the age spans, which is cool. So this is some sort of peacock superhero. It actually reminds me of the Monarch from Venture Brothers, just in the way that it's cut and it looks. But boy, there are plenty of superhero costumes which also have this exact same look, which is why the Monarch is sort of making fun of that type of thing, superhero and supervillain. But anyway, it's all, like I said, it's all very well realized. I think it's well done. Obviously this is very highly specific. Once you get into the superhero stuff, it's like, okay. But I'd love to set up a bunch of Sims on, in a building and set up like a convention and make them pretend like they're at a con. And of course I say superheroes, but I also mean supervillains. It's sort of a blanket term. I'll try to say both. This is another superhero outfit, or it could be villain, whatever, but probably hero. And it reminds me a lot of like Superman, or God, I'm actually not that familiar with superheroes. That would be a question to ask my boyfriend or my ex-husband, because boy, are they knowledgeable. But I'm not as much, but yes, this kind of reminds me of Superman. It reminds me of somebody else, and I know the name, but I don't want to say it just in case, because, like, the coloration's different and all of that. It's just the shoulders and the cape. But yeah, it's, it's your run-of-the-mill superhero costume. I think it's also well realized. Okay, and here is the last one I'm going to have him in. That loaded up very quickly. You'll notice that, okay, I have all of these outfits set up across everyday, formal, and athletic wear. So, if you wanted to actually make your sim live a life, like if you wanted to set them up as a quote-unquote superhero, if they were just the type of character that wanted to cosplay or do a specific theme or anything like that, you could do it, essentially. You could make that possible. Alright, so this hairstyle is, this is like your atomic B-movie horror kind of mad scientist thing, or an alien, something analogous to that, but I like it. feels like, almost like a Cyberman costume with the way that the venting is done here. I like it. I do. And we're gonna move on to the next sim. So here we have the first woman's costume. You may have seen our lovely Leanne wearing that before she got into the shower. This could be a superhero or supervillain. Really, it's up to you. The hairstyle obviously goes with the bodysuit, and the shoes are actually separate from the bodysuit and go very nicely with it. Everything's color coordinated. I was gonna just talk about the structuring on the collar. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna get into costume craft because we will be here for 10,000 years, and I'm gonna try not to do that. And speaking of color coordinated, I didn't have to do anything to make this outfit look this way. This is one of the options. Like I said, everything is well suited to each other, fit together like a puzzle, and actually a number of the things you can cross-purpose pretty easily. This is a really sort of interesting outfit, and this is also one of the new hairstyles. I wasn't clear with the men's things. The cowboy hat is a new hairstyle for the men, and the brain helmet with the eye goggles, that is also a new hairstyle for men. Other than that, men did not get any other hairstyles. So don't be confused by the other hair I had him using. Those were, like I said, the one was from 70s, 80s, 90s, and the other one was a store content hair. So, just in case. But this hairstyle comes with this particular outfit. And, yeah, no costume craft. No costume craft. It's rather well made. Okay, so it's super obvious that this is meant to evoke the same sort of aesthetic as Poison Ivy's costume. This actually reminds me quite a bit of a more dressed up and slightly more sexed up version of the Diniverse one from Batman the Animated Series, which I watched a lot of. I love that show. But yeah, it has the actual like floral and frond applique, but the vine elements and all of that are additional too. It's not as simple, but it's rather risque actually. I'd imagine that if this were a real costume that you wore to a convention, you'd be using a lot of hairspray to keep that attached to your butt. But the boots go with it, and everything fits together pretty nicely. This hairstyle also comes with the stuff pack and is quite clearly also meant to go with this outfit. And I do like this hairstyle. My biggest complaint about EA hair is that the highlights are too chunky. And I end up having to change the highlights so that they look a lot closer together, but then the hair ends up looking sort of lifeless. But I think all in all, like, spectacular job, particularly on this and a couple of the other hairstyles. Like I said, everything here is rather well made. Alright, so we're moving on to what I have set up for formal. Now, some of these things, while this loads, I'll just talk. Some of these things can't actually be used for formal. And it's really weird. And sometimes certain parts of the costumes can be used in like formal or athletic, but the hairstyle or shoes that go with them in the everyday category aren't available to wear with them, which is a little strange, it's a little defeatist, but I'm probably just going to use a mod that unlocks different clothing options altogether, because if I do want to put these things as an entire unit, let's say I want her to sleep in, her superhero costume with the crazy googly goggled brain thing on the head. Well, damn it, I want her to sleep in that, so I will make that happen. So here we have this hairstyle I'm going to call the Helena Bonham Carter hairstyle, because it reminds me a lot of every hairstyle that Helena Bonham Carter has had in anything she's been in the past 10 years. And she's done a lot of stuff with like Tim Burton because they're lovers. And not that she's not talented, but yeah, because they're lovers. And this is the hairstyle you see her in quite a bit. And then this dress reminds me quite a bit of something that she wore. Like in Harry Potter, she wore something quite similar to this, but this obviously has a more old school, like I said, Nosferatu type feel to it, that type of gothic glamour. And again, nicely realized, well done. It looks good on her, and I think the draping looks a little flat through here, but at the bottom, it's got a lot of life to it. The shoes are also from the set. It's hard to get a good look at them, but these shoes are actually interesting because they go well with a few of the outfits. So I think that having an all-purpose sort of heel was a great idea. So while this comes in a few different color options, I like the red the most, and I feel like it goes absolutely best with the tiara and the red gem. And this hairstyle, if you look at Silver Age Wonder Woman, even beyond that, like through the eras, Wonder Woman has had hair that looks just like this. If you look at any of it, like, this is all pretty much, yeah, this is meant to emulate Wonder Woman's look, and it's sort of a marriage of her more traditional colors with the gladiatorial armor that they have her in sometimes. I actually think that this looks pretty good. It's well realized, because anytime that they actually try to take the character away from the boob plate and the spangled spanky pants, it doesn't tend to look very good unless she's in her gladiatorial type gear. And yeah, I do. I like this. I think it's pretty well done. And it also has, the colors like have a bit of a Supergirl feel, but you'll see that there is a costume that actually reminds me quite a bit of Supergirl, so I'll show you that. Alright, so last for her formal wear, we've got this. And this hairstyle is also new. It's got the scarf draped over it. It looks a lot like another hairstyle that also came with this. It's nice. I actually think I can see Sims that I use regularly just wearing this, I don't know, for fun or something. Particularly if I have sort of a more older fashioned Sim. Now, these are shoes also that came with it in the exact same color as the other one, and then this dress is meant to emulate the look of sort of, well, see, okay, people would say, you know, I'm using air quotes here, gypsy. Gypsy is a pejorative term. You know, the sort of gypsy, quote-unquote, culture comes from the culture of a real group of people called the Romani. So, like, you know, this is inspired by very old Romani-style clothes, but it's got that horror twist, like very old, I mean, but like it's got that horror twist that they've tried to do in movies over the years, where like you go and you, like in Slender, you hit the woman's kid, or you kill the woman's kid, and then she curses you and stuff like that. So, like, you understand that this is from a costume standpoint, but you need to be aware that gypsy is a, you know, considered to be a pejorative term, and we're referring to a real group of people here. So, as interesting as this costume is, you know, it's a little, I don't know. It's meant to be sort of a horror twist with the tattering and things like that. It is well made. So it's up to you to be aware of the social implications. Alright, so here's that hairstyle I was talking about, if you were to imagine it with the scarf over it. So it's exactly the same hairstyle, and I do like it. I'd have to change the highlights. I don't like how disparate they are, just in terms of shading, but I like the hairstyle. This is a top. This is the bottom. This is actually under her athletic wear, and as you can see, you can wear all of these superhero costumes as your athletic wear as well. So yeah, the pants have a little bit of fringing on the side. The belt is nicely tooled. Everything looks pretty good. The star on the chest, because of where it sits on her breasts, it's obvious it's painted on the clothes, but that can't be helped just because of the way that the morphing has to go with the breasts. So, you know, to be fair. And then she's got these leather gauntlets with the buttons. It's all very nice. So that's pretty much it for her. We'll go on to the next one. Moving on to Danica, who's one of our regular models. She looks awfully pale with blonde hair, and in fact, she kind of looks like Aunt Zelda from Sabrina the Teenage Witch when she's like this, but oh well. You can see in the mirror, you can't actually see it by pulling back, at least not very easily. This hairstyle is up, you know, it's very similar to the other hairstyle, but it's got the tendrils on the side, but it has a feather. And this costume is obviously meant to emulate the dance hall can dancer of the Old West, who would sometimes moonlight as a sex worker, you know. That wasn't necessarily in the job description, but in some brothels that's what it was, or sometimes they were just dancers, so you never know. But this comes in a few different costume options. These shoes are exactly the same ones I've been using, so you see what I'm talking about, where they're very versatile, and in fact they are most accurate when in conjunction with this particular outfit. I didn't recolor them because I actually think it looks fine, but this, I didn't have to do anything. The fingerless sleeves are in fact included with the actual outfit. I didn't have to do anything to make it look like this, and I didn't have to put on tights or anything like that. So I think that's pretty cool. We're going to move on to her second piece. So this particular outfit you've probably recognized if you're familiar with The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is meant to emulate the look of Sally, and it's got that whole sort of patchwork thing. I'd actually, if I wanted to dress my sim up for a spooky day party or something, I'd love to find some gloves or tattoos or something that have stitching or something like that. And you can find those. If you look, you can find stuff like that. So I gave her the scraggly hair and whatnot. This is just in-game hair. And she doesn't have any shoes because nothing in the set really seemed appropriate. And as far as I'm aware, Sally didn't wear shoes, so I actually think that's fine. Obviously it's got the Burton swirls and stuff like that. So here is an example of what I was talking about. This particular costume can be worn informal, but the hairstyle can't be worn informal. So all together with the hairstyle, this has sort of, once again, sort of like a Valkyrie or Amazonian, or just, you know, if you're going to go with actual Wonder Woman, like a Themysciran feel to it, but also with the right coloration without this helm. If you were to take off the helm and do the right hair and color it correctly, it also has a bit of a Supergirl feel to it. And one of the really cool things about this this particular grouping of superhero / villain clothes is that because so many of the basic elements of the clothes are mixed together and in general tend to be along certain archetypes anyway, even in like comic books themselves. What's neat is that with the right coloration, you could pretty much make a your own version of any superhero you wanted, and I can see where a lot of these items will probably be meshed quite effectively by custom content creators to give you something much more along the lines of your traditional superheroes: Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, blah blah blah. All your big ones. I would really love. I would love to have like a Green Arrow in my game. I'm a big fan of Green Arrow. So that's basically all that can be said for that. We're gonna go on to formal. We are down to the last outfit for women, and this one is entirely, like, it's got the gauntlets and this full piece, and then these boots are actually from this stuff pack, but they're from a different costume, and you've actually seen me repurpose these boots a couple times. You'll see the costume that they actually go with in a minute. This is all very nice detailing, right down to the 3D features on the underside of the smocking here. Like, seriously, it looks 3D even on the other side, and it looks like light is passing through it. Very nicely done. Very, very nicely done. I would actually say that if I can, like, even though this is heavily themed, this is probably one of my favorites just based upon how really just well done it is. I don't know. I like it a lot. I recolored the boots, obviously, once I repurposed them, and there really isn't much more to say. This is the same hairstyle that the other sim was wearing as well. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the teens, and then we've just got the children. For male teens, this is also actually available for men as well, but I have it on him. This is the Freezer Bunny costume, and you can have it so it's got a little icon there, and then different colors of the boots and the hair piece, I guess, the helmet. And yeah, this seems more like a villain. This seems more like a hero, but just, you know, it could be like Batman, you know, all dark and brooding. And then this one's plain. I decided to go with the plain one just for my purposes. And it's got the little palms on the feet. Oh, I said palms, and my dog looked at me. He knows what he is. Alright, we're gonna load up the next costume. Alright, so this one, like where I was referring to the whole Tim Burton's Walt Disney Alice in Wonderland type feel. This even has sort of like a Jack Skellington build to it. It's quite obviously meant to pay homage to that. It is all one piece except for the shoes, obviously, and the shoes go with it very, very nicely. I feel like it looks uniform. They've done a great job of providing a completely uniform look across all of these things, so the question ends up coming down to just whether or not you want them to begin with. If you didn't think we were going to get some more Tim Burton in here, you're silly. This is obviously meant to emulate the Edward Scissorhands look, and boy do I wish that it came with gloves that looked like scissors, but that's probably bordering on copyright infringement. I don't know, it'd be, you know, if they chose the right things, it'd be similar but legally distinct, but yeah, no. But it does remind me quite a bit of the Edward Scissorhands costumes. Each individual channel here, the only thing that isn't recolorable are these silver rings. Everything else, well, and I believe the studs on the leather, but everything else recolorable, which is really, really cool. And it comes in a few different color options just to begin with. And it's kind of like, looks like a straight jacket. But yeah, if you've seen Edward Scissorhands, that's what this is going for. I'm gonna take a stab in the dark. Lastly, for the ladies' offerings, and this is actually something that's also available for women to wear, but I had it on my teen. This is a huge freaking hoop skirt, pretty much. This is your, I mean, if you look at old Western movies, a lot of times this is what you would see. And it's one of the pieces, I'm not totally in love with it. The color presets are actually pretty accurate to how they would have been in the films and even popular colorations and things like that. I just don't love them. But I think for the right purposes, you know, if you wanted to do the full Old West experience, then in terms of like if you're gonna have your Sims do the whole movie thing, this would be a good enough addition. I just don't know how much I will use it. And then yes, here's this very small millinery. It's a miniaturized hat with a feather. That is something that women did wear. And this could also, if you were going for a whole Alice in Wonderland type thing, this would work as well. I mean, it's got a lot of applications. I've seen women wear stuff like this these days with jeans and vests, but I don't necessarily recommend that. So that's pretty much it. We're going to take a look at the children, and that'll be it. So for little boys, we have this outfit plus another, and this one is unisex, but we'll take a look at that in a minute. This outfit has sort of an Eddie Munster type feel, but it's got that patchworking again. The clasp looks like very, very shiny, very gold metal. I think it's very well realized. The shoes came with the set. They sort of go with this, but I think that they do work just for basic purposes. But I think a dress shoe would probably be more appropriate. But it's got the little cravat and the pin and all of that. This hairstyle is custom. It didn't actually come with the stuff pack. Alright, so we're switching over. This actually will only take just a second. So this is one version of the costume. The little girl is also she's wearing the yellow version. But yes, the boots go with it. This is meant to go with the superhero division of this stuff pack. And then you can wear this helmet. They can wear it with or without the tail. Now I actually feel like this kind of looks like a chipmunk rather than a beaver, but it could be either. But yeah, anyway, his has the tail, and then you'll see the little girl's doesn't. There's really not much more to it than that. Alright, so like I said, here is the little girl wearing her version that does not have the tail on it, and this is the yellow one. It's essentially the same, just slightly different colorations. And I did have her wearing the appropriate shoes. Hello. You gonna work with me here? Thank you. So yeah, like I said, that's pretty much what there is to that. And then, I think I might have already dressed her. Yes, okay. So this outfit here, I can actually see myself getting, she's wearing Pet's shoes, by the way. And this hairstyle is store content. It didn't come with it, but I feel like I could get a lot of mileage out of this particular outfit. Now this is actually an interesting combination because you can use this, you could use this with the Western set, depending on your coloration and your choice of footwear, but it also goes very well with the Gothic set, which is really more of its application, as you can see from the prints on the bottom. But yeah, you could easily adapt this for use with the Western set, and it's got the little sleeves and things like that, but you could make it work. Yeah, I actually can see myself getting quite a bit of mileage out of this one. And that is literally it for the clothes. So while this finishes up, my verdict on the clothes. You heard me say that if I really disliked something, I was going to comment on it. And the only outfit that I genuinely had a strong reaction to, in terms of dislike, was that hoop and crinoline skirt, which I had on Cecilia here. But I feel like everything's very well made. The question being, will I use a lot of it? I don't know. I do love Spooky Day for my Sims. I can see myself getting a lot of use out of these things for costume parties and themed elements and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they're probably not things that I'm going to use all of the time, but there are some pieces that I can see myself getting a lot of use out of. That one hairstyle, a few other things for equestrian Sims, like the outfit, the athletic Western outfit will work very well. I can see myself, some of the more fun campy things, like this Rocky Horror costume, I can see myself having a lot of fun with. I don't know where the blue came from in that hairstyle, but it appeared today after I loaded my game, and I'm gonna have to reset the hairstyle, I think. So I can see myself using a lot of this. I really can. So I guess I purchased this stuff pack for the sake of reviewing it. I didn't actually think I was gonna like anything that came with it. And I do like some of the stuff. I just don't necessarily know how I'm going to use all of it. But I'll find a way. I have a few ideas for some challenges or things that I might do in the future which would call upon some of this stuff. But if you don't think you can use at least, most of the furniture and the car, and maybe at least half of the clothes, then I'd say give this a pass, because obviously it's $20. But if you can see yourself as getting, and the chair and the light and the rig, those are part of the pre-order thing. But I did want to show those just in case some of you were interested. But a lot of this furniture and all that, if you can see yourself using it, if you really, really like it, it is $20. This is a lot more stuff than you get in, a store set. It does go along a few different themes, so if you're not that into the Western thing, you may be really into the Gothic horror and superhero / villainy, or, any combination thereof. This is really, truly my saying. It is up to you. I've shown you everything. Look at the other reviews. There are going to be other reviews out. There already are. Actually, I'm a little late to the game. So go check those out. Really take a look at how these things look on everybody's machines, what we have to say about them. You know what your favorite LPers and reviewers have to say, and whether or not you agree with them. I honestly can't, in good conscience, just tell people to go out and buy this. All I can say is that for the price and the number of stuff I got and the number of uses I can see for my purposes, I'm glad I have it. And I know that's sort of dancing around the matter, but I really don't know what else to tell you other than to say, buy wisely, caveat emptor, buyer beware. Really know whether or not you want this stuff before you get it, because it is so specific for the most part that it's not funny. The Western stuff is the most ambiguous, and even then, it's yeah, although I'm in love with this nightstand right here. I want to put a wash basin. I have some custom content ones. So yeah, okay. End of story. That's what I really have to say about it. If you stuck through the clothing stuff, I appreciate it. Again, I know that my reviews are always long. I try to be thorough. If you have any questions in the comments, if you want to ask about like the costume craft elements or you know, things like that, go ahead. I'm going to try not to get into it so much during the reviews. But I did used to have a lot of fun working in theater and making costumes and stuff, so this actually makes me feel a little nostalgic, which I think might also be feeding into my love of it. Oh, one thing to note, that I was under the impression initially that because of the theme of this, it was a shower you were going to be able to use, like, and people wouldn't be bothered by it, like your sim wouldn't have to shoo anybody out. That's not the case. I think I can't remember. I think I might have seen that mentioned elsewhere, or maybe that was just me. But just in case, if that's what you're thinking, that's not the case. You have to shoo the people out of the room, and that's a little bit of a bummer for me. I was kind of disappointed by that, but that's a really super nitpicky thing. Super, super nitpicky. Alright, so, okay, I'm officially done. I'm losing my voice. I've told you everything I can. I've given you what I know. Go check other reviews. Really take a good look at the stuff and know whether or not you want it. And if you do decide that you want to get this, just based on the quality of the stuff, you're not going to be disappointed, because the quality is really very nice. Okay, so that being said, I want to give you a big high five for sticking around, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!